So you're all very welcome, as I said, to the latest Bring It On webinar. So today we are going to explore different IT pathways and possibilities locally in Northern Ireland. And this session is really aimed at parents, teachers and careers advisors, or those just generally advising young people on their options post GCSE and A level as they move into further and higher education. So you're all very welcome. We do have a great roster of speakers, and just to give you, I suppose, a bit of background on the Bring IT On programme itself. So it is funded by Department for the Economy and delivered by Belfast Metropolitan College since 2015. But essentially we work in collaboration with and on behalf of all the local colleges and universities in Northern Ireland. And the programme really acts to highlight and promote all the different pathways and opportunities locally in IT to help meet the skills and resourcing demands of the local IT and technology sector. So we really work with a range of key stakeholders. So that includes young people, parents and teachers, and then working with careers changers and employers to discuss and promote the various career pathways into IT. So there are four main strands in terms of how we approach and deliver that. So that's really focused working with students, parents, teachers and careers advisors, and then working in collaboration with employers too. In terms of today, we're going to hear from Eamon Brankin. Eamon's the Digital IT Hub Manager on behalf of the further education sector in Northern Ireland. We're also joined then by Kathleen Mallon, who is a software engineer from Liberty IT, to discuss her pathway into the IT sector. We're also going to be joined by Queen's University Belfast, so Andrew McDowell is going to discuss the programmes on offer from Queen's and what they mean from a entry pathway and learning perspective. We're glad to be joined today, but also by Colin Manson from Factor. So he's a cybersecurity associate, and similar to Kathleen, is going to discuss his pathway into the local IT sector and some of the experience he's gleaned along the way, and provide some advice to anyone considering a career in IT and specifically cybersecurity. We're then also going to be joined by the Open University. So we've got Anthony, Jim and Jill who are going to give us an overview of everything that is available from the Open University. And then last but not least, we're joined by Maureen from Ulster University, who's going to take us through their range of higher education programmes available and some of those entry requirements. And then at the end, we'll have a short Q&A session. So I would ask, if once we're moving through the webinar, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to drop them into the chat function, and we can put those to any one of the speakers today. So yeah, please feel free to use that chat function, and we'll do our best to answer your questions, or if we do need to follow up, we can take your details and make sure we direct that inquiry to the right person. So that really just leaves me to ask Eamon to speak. So Eamon's going to give us an overview of the full IT and technology provision available from the further education and college sector in Northern Ireland. Thanks, Eamon.
Thanks very much. Hello, my name is Eamon Brankin, and I'm going to explain to you what the curriculum provision is by the FE colleges. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see the screen okay?
Yeah, all good, Eamon. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks very much for attending today. So what we're going to cover is we're going to go over the background, different qualification levels so you can relate it to your qualifications, look at full-time provision, industrial provision, and how do I find out more information. There will be a lot of information in the presentation, so it'll be distributed afterwards, and if you have any questions you can contact myself, and I'll be able to link you in with the colleges. So to go through it with the background, why IT? If you look at where the key growth areas are, so between 2018 and 2028, IT is picked as one of the key areas where there's demand for new recruits. Now, within that area, the average salary for Northern Ireland is 24,600. The ICT salary is 40,000. So they are well-paid jobs with graduates starting at between 20 and 30,000, and there is areas for growth. What sort of opportunities are available? There's a variety of different roles, from developer, analyst, cloud engineer. There's also going through the likes of security, forensics, incident response, a variety of different roles. So even within computing, it's not just one or two jobs. There is a vast array of jobs available within IT. Now, to start off with, how are the qualifications mapped? So I've illustrated this, and this will help you through the presentation as I go forth. So level 1 and 2 goes to your GCSEs. Level 3 would be the same as your A level. So whenever I talk about level 3, you're talking about A levels, and I'll be explaining the BTECs and the access diplomas. Level 5 is equivalent to year 2 of a degree and is also called a foundation degree or a HND. And then level 6 is where you have a degree. So if it's level 6, you're talking about a full degree offered by the colleges and universities. So looking at our full-time provision, we have a level 2 course. So for those students that just miss out on the GCSEs, we have a 1-year full-time course and it's equivalent to 4 GCSEs where you can go through. But what I want to focus on in today's discussion was on about a roadmap. So you're thinking about your career going forward. How do you get to employment? So your first step now is, if you finish your GCSEs, you can go for a level 3 extended diploma in IT. And I'll be explaining the courses in a minute. That'll take 2 years. You can then go and do a level 5 foundation degree. That again will take 2 years. You can then finish off with a 1-year degree full time. So within 5 years through the FE colleges, you can move from GCSEs to extended diploma, foundation degree and employment. So I have some of the main courses listed here. So we have 2-year full-time equivalent to 3 A-level courses available within all 6 FE colleges. So it's a wide geographical spread, and there's both the Pearson and OCR Cambridge Technical offered. Additionally, we do have, for the more mature students, a 1-year full-time university entry course called an Access Diploma in Computing for the Economy. There are other Access Diplomas available, and the idea of the Access Diploma is it would be a 1-year or 2-year course to prepare you for entry into university. For computing, it's 1 year. So what do we have in relation to level 5? So this is equivalent to year 1 and 2 of your degree. So you've just done your level 3 or your A levels. What are the options? You can come to the college, do a level 5, and we have foundation degrees in computing ranging from software engineering, computing, information technologies, as well as HNDs. As I said, there'll be a lot of courses mentioned, so I want to try and focus on the paths and the career, how you get from where you are now to employment. So we also have level 3 specialist provision, and there's been big demand within the industry now for cybersecurity. The amount of jobs that are looking Azure and other cloud platforms has increased. As a result, the colleges now have specialist foundation degree provision available in cybersecurity and also in cloud and application development. So there's a range of courses offered by the colleges. So that would be 2 years. You've done 4 years with a college. You can then go and do a 1-year full time, and that will give you a full degree, a BS honours in either computing science, the same as before, specialist cybersecurity, network infrastructure, on cloud and application development. And all the courses are developed working with companies. So We have had companies come to us and based on their feedback, they have identified what skills are needed for cybersecurity and cloud and application development. We have developed the courses based around their feedback. So in order to show that you have both the vocational skills and the industrial skills wanted by companies, what we do is we offer you the opportunity to complete vendor certification. Vendor certification refers to Microsoft exams, Cisco exams, CompTIA exams. So in addition to your core qualification, you gain additional skills to show that you have the industry skills ready to start work placements, and that's part of the role that the colleges do to try and help you gain a job and start your route into employment in the IT industry. Now, in terms of the industry courses, we just explained the full-time provision, but you also have an apprenticeship provision. With an apprenticeship provision, you spend some of your time with the employer, some of your time with the training provider. So you both work and learn, and there's no cost for any of the courses. So if you're completing a foundation degree or degree apprenticeship, instead of having to pay it to go to your university or college, there's no cost for that, but you need to be employed by a company. So you have to have an employer. What are the benefits of an apprenticeship? Number one is no cost. Number two, instead of waiting till you finish your course to start your journey in employment, what you do is you combine them together. So straight away you're doing your education and you're getting your job experience at the same time. You also receive training specific to your job by your company and also within the college. So gaining qualifications, gaining work experience, and at that end being a more rounded individual that you can progress down your career path. Again, as this talk is about a roadmap, I've done this small example to give you an idea. I've based this model on the Belfast Metropolitan Apprenticeship at level 3, 5 and 6. So you can come to Belfast Met as a level 3 apprentice. After you finish that, you can either go to university or you can continue with the college at a level 5 apprenticeship. Again, at the end of the level 5, you can go to university or you can go on to employment, or you can go to a full level 6 apprenticeship with the level 6 that will finish you off with a degree. So over 5.5 years, you will have 5.5 years of work experience. You will have your full degree. You'll have the same experience as people going to university, but you will have no bill because you will not have to pay for your course. One of the things I would like to highlight is the Mentor Connect package. And if you want to find more information out about the apprenticeships, I would go look at it and you can see that there's a toolkit specifically there for apprentices. But in terms of the provision, there is a level 3 provision in software development and network infrastructure. Again, there's a variety of places available with different companies. It's just a matter of applying, and other colleges would offer similar approaches as well. We then have the higher level apprenticeship level 5, where we have the foundation degree in computing, with foundation degree in software development at local colleges. We also have the specialist provision again in cloud development along with cybersecurity, and again is offered with Belfast Met Southwest College. We have then go, and as I said, within the 5.5 years, you can get a full degree and you can go for the cybersecurity or the cloud and application development. So within that period, you're able to complete. So how do I apply? You do not need to worry about guaranteeing a placement for the Belfast Met. Some of the other ones you do, but for further information on apprenticeships, contact me after the event and I'll be able to provide you with more information. So the first stage is this ad has now went out. You can now apply for the apprenticeship. You will have to do a psychometric test, but the process and further information is available on the website at the bottom. So a bit more information. So if we're thinking of a career in IT, there is a very good bulletin that has been just recently published, Cybersecurity Careers, a Young Person's Guide, that will explain all the different areas for cybersecurity. There is also a news flash in cybersecurity that will give you good videos and content and explain what is involved within the cybersecurity industry, as well as a bulletin in software technologies. So how do I find out what courses are available within the colleges? The best way for that is to go to the colleges, see what provision they have. Additionally, you can contact myself and I can put you in contact with the corresponding person who will be able to inform you of what provision is specifically offered at each college. So I know there's a lot of information there, but what I would look at is the two pieces of information. Sorry, hang on there. So the first roadmap, level 3 for full-time education, you can do a level 3 explainer diploma, level 5 foundation degree, and degree 5 years, and you complete your path to employment. Additionally, you have your second one with a level 3 apprenticeship, level 5 apprenticeship, level 6 apprenticeship, complete your full way, you're employed the whole way, so there's no cost for your level 5 or your level 6 for your full degree, and you're able to complete the course for 5.5 years. If you've already done your A levels, you can do it in 3.5 years if you're going to just doing the level 5 and level 6. So thanks very much for listening. As I said, there's a lot of information there. So what I would say is if you want more information on what's available for apprenticeships or what's available for some of the other qualifications, just send me an email and then I'll be able to get back to you. And thanks, David, for the time. And hopefully that was informative. I know it was a quick session, but within 15 minutes, a lot of information.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Eamon. And yeah, it was good to see that roadmap, just to sort of, I suppose, explain it a bit clearer for everyone, and sort of see how that, one thing leads into another, in terms of some of those learning opportunities and employment opportunities as well. So thank you very much. So yeah, that leads me to introduce you to Kathleen Mallon. So Kathleen is a software engineer employed with local technology company Liberty IT. So if we can invite Kathleen on to take us through a bit of a background on her journey to date in the local IT and technology sector. Thanks, Kathleen.
Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me okay and see my screen?
Loud and clear, we can see everything. Thank you.
Fabulous. So today I'm going to talk about how I ended up where I am here at Liberty IT and specifically my pathway into technology. First of all, a little bit about me. I'm Kathleen Mallon. I'm a computing science graduate from Ulster University and a software engineer at Liberty IT. If you would like to contact me or reach out after the talk, you can add me on LinkedIn and my name is Kathleen M on there. So what is my story? My story so far, I'm going to give you a brief overview of my education. I started off, as most people would, at a primary school, progressed to my secondary school up until GCSE years. I then moved school for a better A-level subject offering to a grammar school, but it didn't quite have the subjects that I wanted to do, so I ended up going to Belfast Met for fast track A-levels. From there, I found out about the foundation degree options and I progressed to do a software engineering foundation degree at Belfast Met, and that led to Ulster University computing science degree that I've just completed. And now I'm here today at Liberty IT as a software engineer. So some of you might be thinking, why did I have such a long journey to get to where I am? I was thinking about this myself and decided to think about all the hurdles I encountered over the years. So the first hurdle I encountered was my ICT GCSE at secondary school. They actually removed it from the timetable because they couldn't facilitate it initially, even though quite a number of people did try to select it as a subject. We complained to the school about it and they came back to us and offered us to do half an ICT GCSE. Once again, we weren't very happy with that either. We wanted to do the full qualification. So we went back to the school and asked if there was any other way they could go about it. And the only way we could do the ICT GCSE in full was to do half of it during school time and then attend night classes to do the full qualification. So that was my first hurdle. The second hurdle was that same school didn't offer ICT as an A-level subject. And they didn't really do the other subjects I was interested at the time either, so I had to move school to try and find it. When I did move school, they did offer ICT, but it was fully subscribed, so I couldn't do it at that school either, but they had more subjects that I was interested in, so I was able to do some of the things I was interested in there. Overall, there was just a complete lack of communication and awareness of jobs and prospects for IT up until this point, and I didn't even know about programming or coding as a career. Once I did discover what options were out there for software engineering and coding, I found out I wasn't allowed to apply because I didn't have the criteria. I needed a GCSE Maths grade B, but I only had a grade C, so I couldn't apply direct to the university. So some of you might be wondering, what subjects did I take then if I wasn't able to do ICT? Thankfully for GCSE, I was able to pick all the other subjects I was interested in, which would include the likes of your sciences and humanities subjects. At A-level, you can maybe think, maybe you are thinking, why did I pick health and social care or home economics and things like that? It was because I was interested in technology, but also helping people. So at that time, I was thinking of being a radiographer, so I could use a mixture of technology and helping people in my day-to-day job. After A-levels at that grammar school, and when I went on to the fast track A-levels at Belfast Met, my ICT teacher ended up asking me to see him after class. I thought, oh no, see me after class, what have I done wrong? But it actually turned out he was wanting to let me know about coding and programming being a career, because I hadn't found out or known it existed until then. He pointed me in the direction of some information evenings at Belfast Met to do with the foundation degrees. There was one for software engineering, which I think Eamon just touched on there. And I think there was another one on interactive media, so I attended a few of them to see what would be best for me. After that, I applied for the foundation degree in software engineering. I really enjoyed it. I'd done the 2 years at Belfast Met, and then once you completed that successfully, you could enter into second year of computing science at Ulster University. I just completed that course last year and graduated, and then started with Liberty IT last September. Over the 2 courses, there was a lot of industry experience. During my foundation degree, there was a 15-week work experience where at the end of the 2 years, you were allowed to enter the world of work for that period of time and report back to your lectures. In my foundation degree, I found that really valuable, and a lot of people decided just to go straight into employment at that point, but I wanted to complete my full course. So I went on to computing science, which also has a year opportunity for placements, in which I did attend Liberty IT. A few of the initiatives here are different groups that are local that I came across whilst on placement. There's STEM ambassadors, which do a lot of active work in the local community in a range of different schools. And then there's the likes of meetup groups to do with Blug and Bash and Code First Girls that sort of help educate those in the local community. They're worth checking out if you haven't heard of them before. So some of you might be wondering, why IT? Like, why would I bother? So for me personally, I enjoy working with computers. I was really lucky to have an A-level teacher that was extremely helpful and went the extra mile with his students. I also had a very supportive family and lecturers that went the extra mile throughout my foundation degree and my undergraduate degree. IT is such a creative industry. For me personally, working as a software engineer, you create something new every single day and you solve problems that help people. Technology is constantly evolving, so there's always something new to learn. You never stop. You're not stuck on the same thing and repetitive every single day. There's always something new. And because the industry is growing, I'm particularly passionate about learning those new things and attending courses, but I'm also passionate about informing others and encourage them to consider a career in IT. Because I currently work at Liberty IT, some people ask me why I picked them, so I thought it would list a few things that might be worth mentioning. During my foundation degree, lectures listed a range of different local companies, of which one of them was Liberty IT. I had a really positive introduction at careers events, in which the staff were very helpful and informative. They had placement opportunities at foundation degree level, but also at undergraduate level. And a really big thing that attracted me to Liberty IT was at the end of your placement year, they would offer you the opportunity to interview for a graduate role. So they could give you a potential conditional offer on the terms that you complete your undergraduate degree. So you would be entering into final year with no stress or worries about trying to apply for jobs at the same time. And that was a really big attracting factor. The placement experience was excellent as well. They do a 6-week training academy to help candidates that have just joined ramp up into the industry. They have a range of different learning resources as well throughout, which was extremely helpful. And the whole company itself has a very, very big people first approach. So they like to listen and feedback from their placement students as well as their permanent staff. They have a range of groups as well, which was STEM groups, Women in Tech, Pride groups. They sort of cover all the different things. If you're quite social, you can join and develop your skills. They're involved with a range of local communities too, such as Serve with Liberty Days, where they would partner with charities. And that could range from like painting a room or helping upgrade gardens that have went a little bit too overgrown. But my day-to-day is continuous learning. Liberty IT are quite flexible with their working. At the moment, they've offered all their employees 3 choices of contracts to be fully remote, hybrid, or fully in office. And there's not that many jobs that can give you that option, so that's really, really positive. Each day we solve very complex problems that help people, so there's great job satisfaction. And it's collaborative because you all need to work together to create the software. The employee feedback has led to the likes of the apprenticeships that have already been touched on, and scholarships and partnerships with the community that are just helping spread that message that IT is accessible. So what about IT locally? I'm just going to touch on some statistics that I think are quite poignant. Breaking down the computing science graduates from 2015 to 19, you can see the percentage of female graduates is quite low, and it's stayed that way for a number of years. And coming from an all-girls school, to all-girls school, I think it's quite important just to let people know that this exists and computing is for everyone. Although the percentage has remained quite static, it's because even though the female graduates are slowly increasing, the rate of male graduates are also increasing quite rapidly, so the percentage just seems to be quite low. So what is being done locally? I know I'd listed some of these before, but I thought some of them in addition would be worth mentioning. So local schools are working in collaboration with the STEM ambassadors. Some primary schools would have code clubs after school and Coder Jojos. I think there used to be one ran in Belfast Met, the Coder Jojo, but not sure if that's still running. There's a Sentinels programme for See Your Future, and obviously today with Bring IT On, there's a lot of different initiatives. But if you're interested in just getting involved with the local IT community to see if it's for you, Meetup is a very good platform where you can attend a range of different events that are set up locally. So my closing thoughts today. There's so much opportunity and advancement for IT, but there's too many roles to list here, and I know Eamon had spoken about this. From software engineers to cybersecurity. I know there's another speaker coming up that will touch on that. There's so many different opportunities out there for everyone. And I strongly do believe there's something in IT for everyone because there's so many transferable skills that can apply. There's even things such as user experience designers that sort of focus on the process and the experience from the user. There's more technical ones like software engineers and cybersecurity analysts. And then on the other side, there's project managers and scrum masters and delivery leads that would touch on managing teams to meet their deliverables and make sure the business problems are solved. So I would just like to say thank you all for listening, and I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for coming along today.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Kathleen. It was great to hear your journey, and I suppose actually really your tenacity to make sure you forged a career in IT, and hopefully a lot of the programs and support available in the likes of the further and higher education sector, working collaboratively with industry, helping remove some of those I suppose blockages that you've encountered, and that more and more students who are coming through GCSE and A levels won't encounter those stumbling blocks, and hopefully they have a smoother sort of journey. And also I suppose advocates like yourself speaking at events like today and working with Foresee Your Future to help spread the message earlier down the school network, so that they're encouraged to think about subjects in IT and technology at GCSE and A level, and then open up those opportunities as well. So thank you very much, Kathleen. So next up, we have Andrew McDowell from Queen's University in Belfast. So Andrew's going to take us through the range of programmes, courses available from the university, and some of those entryways and pathways. So thank you, Andrew.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, David. And Kathleen, thank you very much. That was a really interesting talk, a difficult act to follow. I'll just open with some possible apologies. I have a 10-week-old puppy in the background. He's nicely settled at the minute, but he's got a set of lungs on him. So if he starts going off, just my apologies at this point. So yes, as David mentioned, thanks for having me along today. I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about what computing looks like at Queen's, and sort of hopefully a few points of interest as we make our way through. Just to maybe set the scene a little bit, computing at Queen's, we've got our own dedicated facility, which is really nice. The computer science building based in the Malone Road. It was opened up in 2016. So it's got lots of really nice state-of-the-art features in there that we enjoy using. We're looking forward to getting back in from a bit more now that COVID's out of the way. We've got things like makerspace, so we can produce microelectronics. We can do sort of deep learning. We've got Lego Lab. We've got all sorts of cool stuff that we get the opportunity to work with, which is fantastic. One of the big things about the building is that it's very student-centric, and it's been designed to be a bit of a workplace-like environment. So the staff accommodation, our offices in there are actually very small. Most of the space is dedicated to breakout rooms, communal environments, student lounges, all sorts of things you'll see in a traditional IT house or company where people are coming together, doing stand-ups, working together in small teams. So really do try to recreate that authentic environment, within the building. We're one of the largest schools in the university. We have about 2,000 students on average every year, and between undergraduate and postgraduate students. Audience today here, I think we're going to be mostly interested in the undergraduate provision. So our main provision is spread across 4 core pathways, which I'll have a chat about in a minute, and they're very much designed in collaboration, with industry, because we need to make sure that, especially in the local IT industry, which is booming, that we're meeting all of those local needs. So we'll make sure that we're constantly up to date and delivering the graduates that our local sector needs. So in terms of our provision, there's 4 main pathways we have. We deliver them in 3 different ways. So for computer science and software engineering, you've got an integrated master's route. So this way, you'll actually leave with a master's degree in either computer science or software engineering. There are 5-year programs that includes a year of professional experience. So that's 4 years on campus and 1 year working in industry, something similar to what we heard from Kathleen there recently. We also have the honours degree. That's your Bachelor of Science or your Bachelor of Engineering, depending whether you're doing computer science or software engineering. They are 4-year programs, so you'll do 3 years on campus with your year of professional experience. And that year professional experience is always between the 2nd and 3rd year of study. So the computer science and software engineering, they're our most technical programs. I'll talk a little bit more about those in the next few slides. We also have computing and information technology, slightly softer on the technical and the core technical skills, but challenging in the same way. We've got our business IT qualification, so it's delivered in partnership with the School of EECS, the computer science element, and the Queen's Management School. And one sort of special mention I thought I'd bring along today is data science. It's a brand new program that we're kicking off, and it's starting in September next year. So data science, I mean, it's a huge part of our everyday lives, underpins pretty much everything we do. So we're looking to have an avenue to sort of really focus in on jobs in that area. So each of these programs has their own sort of core principles and their own kind of set of jobs and set of skills that we're trying to meet. But beyond those core principles, there's a very strong emphasis really in 3 key areas: data analytics, cybersecurity, and cloud computing. And that very much maps to some of our research specialisms. So we have active researchers, academics who are publishing state-of-the-art research, and we get them involved in the teaching. So you're getting to work with the latest technologies that are, out and about. One thing we're particularly proud of, a little feather in our cap that we got about 2 years ago, is National Cybersecurity Centre Silver accreditation, which recognises Queen's Centre of Excellence for Cybersecurity Education. So that's an area we're really proud of in the university. To talk about the programs in a little bit of detail, computer science is all about understanding the theory of why we develop applications in the way that we do, leading to actually developing them. So there's a bit more of a theoretical slant with this kind of program. So yes, we'll learn how to program, yes, we'll learn how to use those skills, but we get under the bonnet, if you will, and have a look at sort of the mathematics that underpins the operation of computers. We have a look at networking and networking technologies and how they operate and how those links are created. And there's a significant research slant in this program as well. So the final year project, what we call the capstone project, the bit that brings your entire degree experience together, it'll usually be working alongside one of our lectures and one of the research themes, doing a little bit of work in that research area. So it's a really nice way to get a deep understanding of how software comes together, how software operates, to obviously develop some software as well, and actually contribute and work on a little bit of state-of-the-art research as well. So that's our computer science, and it's available at honours and master's level. Software engineering, simple way of putting it, it's all about building things. There's lots of great technologies are out there. They all operate in different ways, have different uses and different purposes, and different target audiences. So software engineering has a lot of crossover with computer science, but it's got more of a practical aspect to it instead of those theoretical underpinnings. So how can we look at the technologies that are out there, use them in new and innovative ways? How can we use them to be entrepreneurial, in our development approach, develop new ways of doing things, and get something out there that actually works? So a little bit more emphasis on the actual software development, a little bit of a less emphasis on the theory side of things. But what I would say is for both computer science and software engineering, they'll both lead to the same graduate opportunities. So it's kind of whichever program you find yourself most interested in. They're actually designed to be interchangeable as well. So through your 1st and 2nd year of study, you can actually chop and change between software engineering and computer science based on your preference. It's not until your final year of study, your 3rd year, that you're actually locked into one of the paths, because that's where the specialisms really kick in. We also offer a higher level apprenticeship. I know some of our previous speakers have touched on those, but just to mention that we do have an HLA that we offer. So the whole Earn While You Learn is available there as well. As I mentioned, Computing and Information Technology, or CIT, this is a slightly softer approach. And when I say softer, it doesn't mean that it's an easier to give program. It's more academically challenging, it's equally academically challenging as the other programs, but bit of a less of a focus on the technical development. We're looking at a sort of broader set of skills here. So there's a bit more web design and development in here, a bit more around network security, a big emphasis on understanding how end users actually interact with software. We can build fantastic pieces of software that meet all the technical requirements, are really rich and technically complex. But if you have a piece of software that your end user just doesn't like using, well, then your project's going to be a failure. You're not going to make any money off it. So understanding how the end user actually interacts with the software is a really important element, and that's one thing we touch on a little bit more here. So whereas software engineering, computer science, we're looking very much development activities, software testers, those kind of roles are probably at the heart of where a lot of our graduates will go. Here we're looking sort of project managers, technical project managers, computer technicians will come in here as well, and some of the website design and development will be some of the graduate opportunities that you would have. We've got our business IT then, so this is quite an interesting one. Any business you work on is underpinned by data, it's underpinned by computer systems. And even if you're working in a project management role or a business or accountancy role, understanding how all of this data comes together, understanding how the process comes together, and understanding how the software that really drives the entire industry comes together is a massive advantage to have. So with that in mind, we brought this program on a good number of years ago, and it's been very popular, and it really does merge very nicely all of the business studies, the business disciplines that we'll see, that we see people needing to use, from advertising and marketing and so on, but crossing that over with an understanding of computer programming with website design and development, and how these two things really synergize quite well to lead on to employment. So we see people, I mean, it's a very short list of graduate roles here, but we honestly see everyone going into really core software development roles off the back of this, right through to the opposite end of the spectrum, where you've got sort of finance accountants and people working in, the pure business sector. So it's a really diverse program that has a nice broad base. And maybe if you're interested in computing, but you like to mix it in with some other elements, it is quite a nice program. The last one I'll mention for today is the BSc in data science. So again, as we've mentioned, data underpins everything that we do, from the ads we see, coming through on Facebook, to walking down the street and some advertisements that'll pop up on screens using facial recognition, to how cookies are used to generate personalized stats. There's loads of different ways that data is used, getting right into the likes of self-driving cars and lots of other things. This data science program is designed to be a ground-up program to let you develop a really in-depth understanding of the mathematics behind how these algorithms, data science works, right through to how you create them, how you implement them, using computer programming and associated technologies. So it's delivered in partnership with the School of Maths and Physics. They'll obviously cover all the mathematical underpinnings, and then the other half is done with computer science, where we'll actually teach you how to build these algorithms, implement them, test them, and use them on a real world stage. So there's quite a deep level of knowledge. Loads more I could talk about each of these programs. I'm really just trying to touch on the top level details given time, but happy to pick up any other questions around those towards the end. I just wanted to mention very quickly that we do have postgraduate options as well. The likes of the applied cybersecurity is just worth mentioning, because we'll have a lot of undergraduates who will complete their program and decide that they want to advance their knowledge and skills even further in the area of cybersecurity. So they can go on and develop extra expertise in that area. The other thing that we have, and this might be useful for both thinking of applying for university and for careers teachers, is the likes of our conversion masters. So we'll have quite a lot of students who maybe have a passing interest in IT or something like that, but their passions really like film studies and production, or English, or pharmacy, or any other degree program. And what we'll find is people will go off, they'll do those degree programs, they'll enjoy them, but then maybe they want to switch to the software sector for a number of different reasons. So it's a one-year conversion masters, and we'd see a lot of people completing their degree and then joining this with no prior computing experience and getting effectively fast-tracked through all the core knowledge that they need to be ready for employment in the IT sector. So it's one of our most popular programs. Actually, it's the biggest master's program in the university. So just a very brief note on our postgraduate provision. So just in terms of the structure of the programs then, I really wanted to emphasize the importance of the placement. So this is mandatory on all of our computing programs, whether that be the honours degree programs or the masters. It's sandwiched in between the second and third year of study. Our students quite often consider this one of the most rewarding parts of the degree, because they actually get to see what they've learned, what they've done in the labs, what they've done on campus, what they've done in school, for lack of a better way of putting it, how it actually gets applied in the real world. And there's nothing quite like that, actually seeing what you've done, what you're coding, what you're doing, making a difference, hitting the market, and actually being, productive, rather than just being a piece of schoolwork, for lack of a better way of putting it. It's a really good way for students to learn some of the careers that they really, really like, or even some careers that they don't like so much, so they can go and have a fantastic experience. Yes, software development, that's definitely what I want to do. or maybe it's not quite the right thing for them, and it gives them that, you know, bit of an opportunity to consider, well, where else in IT that they might be interested. Students do earn a salary from it. You know, it is remunerated, and most students stay local. So just as a bit of background information, now this is from 2019, our most recent stats pre-COVID, but gives a good idea on where our students have headed and the sort of remuneration they've been getting. So 90% of our graduates stay in Northern Ireland, and anything from 12,500 to 23,000 is the annual remuneration for that placement. And you can see that's largely consistent, whether it be based down south or across on the mainland. So the placement is really important. The focus of that placement is between the second and third year. They go to all sorts of companies. We've got links with 500 plus companies locally and internationally. We've got a dedicated careers team that helps our students, you know, get ready to go to the interview, helps them prepare their CVs, sits down, do mock interviews, helps build those transferable skills. So there's a lot of support built in to help students, you know, get in and get the right job for them. And say, because of all the links we have with companies, all of this gets fed back into that preparation and into our course and program design as well. In terms of IT sector engagement, I always like to stress that it's not just the placement year and that's it. There's lots of opportunities to actually engage with the IT sector. Lots of companies offer short internships over Easter, over the summer. Quite often they have a bit of, you know, remuneration from them, and we really encourage all of our students to get involved with that. A little bit later in the degree, you get an opportunity to come on with the university and actually do some research scholarships or summer internships. And again, it's a really good way of building your network out in industry, trying different things and different roles to understand what job you want to do. Because IT, it's such a huge area. There's so many roles, you know, that are available out there. You're always best to try a few to see how you do it. And of course, it's going to help you get best set up to get the cream of the crop in jobs. We're really lucky in the IT sector. We've got a massive graduate employment rate, but again, there's a spectrum of jobs there. There are those that are more desirable based on your interests, and maybe those that are less desirable. So the more experience and the greater the network you can build up, the greater the chances you're giving yourself of getting that dream job that you really want as soon as possible after graduation. So lots of different ways of engaging with the sector. Just in terms of entry requirements, I don't want to talk about these in a lot of detail. They're all available online, you know, through our prospectus. But again, just for those who maybe offering advice to what subjects to pick at GCSE and A level, or maybe those who are a little bit earlier on in terms of their development, you know, thinking of university, the subjects you pick can have a direct impact on the programs that you can get into. So you'll see I've highlighted, for example, for the BEng, we've got two options, one here for preferred subjects and one here with relevant. So we're actually getting a lower offer if you get a triple B or equivalent, you know, at A level, as long as you're in one of our preferred subjects. That's actually a lower tariff to get into university. So we're looking at computing, we're looking at mathematics, we're looking at software systems development, where that programming or logical thinking is really a core part you know, of your studies. So if you undertake one of those, it's going to give you that prior knowledge that's really going to, you know, help get you off to a quick start when you start your first year. That's really going to help, and we do recognise that and offer a lower tariff of entry. We do still look for broadly a STEM subject, so you do need to have a STEM A level in order to gain entry. But if it's not one of those preferred subjects, then we do ask for a slightly higher tariff. So the GCSEs and A levels that you pick can have a direct impact on whether A, you're going to get an offer, or B, the level of offer that you're going to get when you come to university. So it's really important to have a think about what A levels and GCSEs you pick, because there will be a knock-on effect. Just to mention, for HLAs, they do have the same academic entry requirements, but depending on the employer that you're going on with, they will have their own application process. You are classed as an apprentice and employee of the organisation, so you do need to go through their recruitment process as well. Similar story with our business IT, you know, and our data science. There's a set of sort of preferred and requirements there. What I will say is that the data science, it's got quite a high level of academic rigor. It is quite challenging in terms of the level of content, particularly in the area of mathematics. So we do ask for quite a high score in A-level maths there. Okay, so that's a little bit on the programs. Really just to close things out, I've alluded to this a little bit, but university, it's not just about the core program. The idea behind it is that you don't just turn up to the university, attend your lectures, attend your labs, do some assessments, and then go home. to be successful, to immerse yourself, to become part of that community, which is so important in the IT sector. Getting involved with extracurricular activities is so important. And in Queen's, we do everything we can to try and create the space for this to happen. We try to get student-led activities, and we bring in lots of local employers to help to sponsor activities, to do guest talks. So that's from sponsored hackathons with prizes, where we try to bring in public organizations and charities to help solve some real-world problems. We have a very active Queen's Computing Society who run lots of events. We're really fortunate to have some really high-spec computing hardware, in the building, and as well as being good for data science and things like that there. It would be rude not to make use of it for a little bit of gaming and a little bit of fun as well. So we have those kind of social activities in there. We've got lots of different student-led innovation projects. So a student says, I fancy doing something, I want to try this thing. We'll do everything we can to support it. And I've got a little example of that coming up on the next slide, which is one of my favorites. We also make a point of hosting local tech groups and local tech conferences, in our building, and the whole purpose is we'll largely offer facilities to free, as long as our students get an invite again to help them, embed with that community. We host a range of open evenings and things like Tech Tuesdays, where we'll get a local company to come in and present the the latest and greatest technology they're using. It's not a recruitment activity. It's all about the technologies that they're using that are relevant to their business, and they'll usually do a little bit of a workshop afterward as well. So lots of different ways for students to get engaged, to get that big breadth of experience, to build that knowledge, to build that community, to build a network, and progress on to be successful once they've graduated. I'll say, just as a wee example of these extracurricular activities, an innovation project. This was a student-led, student-born idea. They wanted to. This was around the time where Red Bull did their big thing where they tried to get what was high as they couldn't do the parachute jump. So we thought, well, can we do something similar? So we got a few balloons. We got some of our electronic engineering students together, some of our computer science students together, built a bit of a circuit board, put some cameras and some sensors on it, so it got a good cross-disciplinary, working on the go. We got to play with some balloons. We only burst a few of these until we actually got it right. Say the students led all the work in terms of the software development, in terms of putting the the IT instrumentation together. Staff were really just there in a supporting role, and the results were fantastic. We got the thing up to 35 kilometers, over Northern Ireland before the actual balloon burst. Got some cracking photographs here, as you can see. Actually see the curvature of the Earth. We've this one was so successful the first time. We do try to run it 2 or 3 times a year. We haven't been able to the last couple again with COVID, but we're certainly keen to bring that one back. But I mean, this is kind of representative of the activities that we try to do. We do try to support students in areas of interest and things they want to try, and give them the opportunity to really put those skills into practice. Final thing we'll mention for those in the call, this isn't just linked into the students who have signed up and registered with us. We do like to show off all of our kit and the toys and the things that we have, the options you have, get you into the building and see some of the cool stuff. Keep an eye on our Facebook page. Any of the events we have coming up are listed there, and you're more than welcome to come along to them as you see them. I'll be a little bit quiet over the summer. We tend to run them during the normal school year, so as I say, sort of coming up to the end of the summer, maybe keep an eye on that there, and if you're interested in popping down, we'd love to have you. Final thing, just a few key contact details there. I'm not really a key contact, but always happy to help out. For any of the computing stuff, David Cutting there is probably the best person to get in touch with, but the information's there for your information after the fact. And I've probably gone over time a little bit, with apologies, David, but that is a very quick run through of Computing at Queen's, and hopefully there's a few interesting bits and pieces in there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Andrew. You definitely packed a lot in, so thank you very much for that. And yeah, the puppy's been very good, so you must have been sweeping some treats there under the table to him or her. So
he's out for the count there over in the corner, so fingers crossed it stays that way.
Oh, lucky puppy. Brilliant. Well, thanks so much, Andrew. And next up, I want to introduce Colin Manson. So Colin is a cybersecurity associate at Factor, and also creator of the website NI Cyber Guys. So Colin, if you are happy to share your screen, thank you very much.
Is that sharing now, is it?
I can't see anything just yet.
Second, I'll get that back up.
There we go. Brilliant.
That better for you?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Colin.
David, thank you very much for having us, and nice to meet everyone, I suppose. My name's Colin Manson. I work in a cybersecurity associate with Factor. As my title says, I'll keep it short. because I know we're running over time. Soccer coach to SOC analyst. My background is I have no background in IT at all until 3 years ago. I was a sports coach and sports development officer for a long time anyway. And then I managed to get onto a couple of academies, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. And from there, I've got into some cybersecurity. Get to the next one. Is it going to move across for us? There we go. That's some of my contact details there if you would like to speak to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You can contact me. My email address is colin@nicyberguy.com. I have started up that site, and the website is there, nicyberguy.com. I know somebody asked if the slides were available. I'll certainly put mine available because there's some links in them that might be of use to some of you guys if you want to get that. One of the reasons I started up the website is because when I started in cybersecurity, we were only talking 3 and a bit years ago, coming into an academy. There wasn't a huge amount of information out there specific to Northern Ireland. Most of it was around about the USA, possibly the UK. So I started up this website with a few of my friends, and I've just carried it on, and it should have some information about what qualifications to get. It's probably more aimed at university leavers and career changers, but there will be some more information about that coming up. I'm involved in cybersecurity, and I know Kathleen talked about the roles in IT. There's a huge number of roles in IT. There's equally cybersecurity is a subset of IT, I suppose, and there's quite a lot of roles in there, from cybersecurity analyst, which is what I do day to day, to ethical hacker, which you can see there. I do particularly like this meme. This pretty much describes me and my day. What my friends think I do is basically like that. What my mum definitely thinks I do is fix computers. What society and what everyone seems to want to do is become a hacker. They've probably seen Mr. Robot. I think that's a great career to get into, which it is. It's just quite difficult. But there are a huge number of roles outside of that that you can get into first of all, or like myself, you want to get into. What I think I do is probably, and what I actually do is probably quite different. If you ask my wife, it'd be probably 2 different pictures there at all. How I got here, I left school. I was, shall we say, encouraged to leave school. I was advised to leave school with not many qualifications, so I went and worked overseas in sport. I worked as a lecturer, came back to university as a mature student, which I know can be an oxymoron. I worked in sport, lectured in sport at a college and university in Scotland, and then moved across here to Northern Ireland, was dragged kicking and screaming across here. As you can tell, I've got a funny accent, so it's not your typical North Coast accent. Worked in sport for the last 10 years over here, and then it was made redundant. And then from that, I managed to get on the first academy, which was the Software Fundamentals course, which was up in Northwest Regional College with Kevin McLaughlin, who I'd highly recommend. A number of my colleagues on that course, I think pretty much all of the people on that course are now working in software testing or software development. And there's quite a few of them who are straight out of school, so it's definitely worth looking into. And from that, I've worked for the last 3 years. I then got into an academy, in Belfast Met, which is one of the Assured Skills academies, which is 12 weeks intensive. And I'd have to say it's probably the most intensive study time I've had academically in my life, and I've got done 2 degrees, well, teaching degree and a sports degree. From that, I've been in cybersecurity for 3 years. What I essentially coming on to talk about today is, because there's a lot of people on the call talking about, like Andrew there, routes into further education and higher education. For getting into cybersecurity and IT as well, it's always something to look for. Is if you're trying to help sort of children or people. I was looking at my wife's school as a teacher the last couple of weeks and trying to help them. Is when you want to get into what qualifications they need. So what do they want to do? I've just seen, the Cyber First, so Emma's just brought up the Cyber First Advanced. I was going to bring that up in a second. So what qualifications I need to do, but what experience and knowledge do I need? What I mean by experience and knowledge, everyone talks about experience, like work experience, but actually a lot of the time that separates candidates from, especially a university as well, but in the job market, is what experience of what they've done outside of the university or what of their courses. And there's a huge amount out there, like Eamon's just brought up in the chat, the Cyber First programme, which is in August. That's for year 13s. There's a lot of what's called Capture the Flags. Thank you, Eamon's just put up a link for it there. There's a lot of things called Capture the Flags, which is essentially gamified learning for anyone who wants to be involved in that, essentially hacking a lot of the time, and teach them about that. That will also help you, I know, speaking to some lecturers in the university, that will also help you potentially stand out from, so the slide at the bottom there, what will make you stand out from the rest of them. So if everybody's got 3 Bs, as Andrew's talking about there, going into the cybersecurity course, what's going to make them stand out? And things like, you can look at things like Try Hack Me or Hack the Box, which are online games. They're free. They're actually initially aimed at schools in America. And you can actually go on there. There's a huge number of qualifications you can do for free. You probably noticed my accent's Scottish, so we love a free thing. There's a lot of Microsoft offer a lot of free qualifications or courses or learning. So I know that Eamon talked earlier on about some of the vendor qualifications. I know that Microsoft personally send me an email every month if you sign up to it, and they'll actually let you go on some of these courses and qualifications, things like the AZ900, which is the Azure, that's their cloud computing certification. I know Amazon, which is one of the 2 other 3 big ones, and Google do the exact same. And that's what we're trying to sort of do, is trying to help people get into the industry. You're seeing that the resources there. I have got the website, and there's a lot of resources in there, so I'll put these slides out to everyone else and to David so they can promote them or pass them out. But other than that, if anybody's looking for any information, they can always get in hold of me. I think everyone's talked about all the qualifications we could talk about, so that was going to. The entries, so there's, for me, it was through the Assured Skills programme, which is run by the Department of Economy. However, a number of my colleagues are working with me now in cybersecurity have come through Queen's or Ulster doing degrees in computing or IT. And even some of the guys I know of coming through from the Open University. One of my colleagues was until recently a salon manager, and he's now a network engineer because he went through the Open University. Because much like myself, he was encouraged to leave early from school. I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody's got any questions, or if you want to get in touch with me through my email or LinkedIn, by all means.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Colin. That was brilliant just to hear that sort of less traditional and less trodden path of, I suppose, having one or maybe 2 careers prior to then, I suppose, pivoting into IT or technology. So it's good to show that I suppose it's never too late to consider a career in IT. And great to hear that, in a short period of time, you've already undergone some even further development since leaving some of those academy programs, and I suppose you're in that yourself, that continual learning path as well. So continuing upskilling and retraining, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Cybersecurity, essentially, I do what's called blue team side defensive. I help people defend their companies, and as you know, everyone's always trying to think about how to attack them. So you're talking about attackers, so it's always evolving, always changing. And I know Kathleen talked about there's no 2 days the same. That's pretty much in cybersecurity. You're almost trying to think constantly about how I can help defeat or think ahead of the attackers.
Yeah, so you've gone from football attackers to cyber attackers. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Colin. That's brilliant.
No problem.
So, and as Colin said, I'll be able to share out his slides to all the participants alongside the recording at the end. So next up, I'd like to invite speakers from the Open University on. So we have Anthony Johnson, Jim Gillen, and Jill Shaw. So as I say, the best things come in 3s. So the Open University have come along in their 3. So thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Can everybody see that? Let's share.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Jim Gillen, and I lecture in cybersecurity in the School of Computing and Communications in the Open University. And I've joined here today with my colleagues Jill Shaw and Anthony Johnson from the school, who will introduce themselves shortly. We're delighted to be at this Bring IT On webinar, and thank David for his kind invitation. We understand you're interested in guiding and supporting students in choosing and following their qualification pathways into higher education, focusing on the possibilities in IT. So we'd like to present an overview of what the Open University offers to students. The Open University, as I'm sure many of you know, was established over 50 years ago and provides supported online distance education at undergraduate and postgraduate level, and it is open to all. So, slide. Yeah. So firstly, we'd like to highlight a free resource, and as Colin said earlier, who doesn't like something that is free? And this is our OpenLearn platform. And OpenLearn itself was established with the mission that was quite simple. It was to reach everybody who needs free access to higher education and give people opportunities to study that they would otherwise not have. It was established in 2006 and supports informal learners, but also OU students alike. And recently we passed the milestone of 1 million visitors to the platform itself. It currently hosts around 35,000 pages of high quality resources, including 1,000 courses and with a total of 13,000 study hours. And as you can see here from the slide itself, it's across all of our faculties and schools as shown. And we'll share the slides also with David later on. In computing and IT and cybersecurity, it currently offers 62 free courses. And an example of this course is the simple coding. And what that would involve is the course introducing students to skills and concepts around the jargon of coding. It would enable them to use programming language Python to produce code, understand the sequences of instructions in Python, and understand repetition in Python programming language. As it stands, it would be a 2-hour course, but it draws on our level 1 module material for our computing and IT undergraduate qualification and pathway. The value we see from OpenLearn is that if you have students that have a clear vision as and that computing IT is the career and qualification pathway that they want to follow, it gives them an insight into study at third level. But you may also have students who have expressed somewhat undecided and have expressed an interest in the area of computing IT. And the array of OpenLearn courses would offer them and help them possibly choose a pathway. And this you may find through highlighting some of these courses to these students and seeing which ones they're most interested in or excited by in the domain of computing, IT and cybersecurity. So the OpenLearn resource really kind of leads us to our qualification pathway, and I'm going to hand over to Jill, who will introduce the pathway.
Thank you, Jim. I'm Jill Shaw, and I'm a staff tutor as well in School of Computing and Communications in the OU. So for students who are interested in qualifications beyond those free short courses, we've got a range of pathways at undergraduate level, and these are open to everyone. There's no formal entry requirements, but there are expected standards. So if someone who hasn't completed A levels or hasn't been in education for a while, you can work through those open learning modules and then access modules, which will set the scene then for working through it at a degree level. And then for students who are leaving school and looking towards a degree, particularly if you're interested in studying part-time, then we have a range of options for undergraduates. And the Open University modules work on a really different model than the brick universities. So students study independently in their own time, and then and are in a group of around 20 other students with a tutor, and the tutor marks their work and then provides tutorials and support. So it's a really supportive learning environment with a really small group of students, as opposed to a big large class at a brick university. And we have the BSc in Computing and IT, and you can study that as well as a separate one then with Computing and IT with a second subject such as business or psychology. And within that discipline then we have 4 key strands. So there's computer science, web development, software development, and then communications and networking. And all of these routes begin with introductory units in IT so that students can come to this discipline without much IT experience, and even if they have it already, this will really consolidate their learning and also their study skills and maths. to be prepared ready for level 2 and 3. And I've picked out a couple of modules that on each of the strands to give you an idea of the kind of modules we have. There's a whole range, obviously, but we have software and engineering and interaction design within the computer science discipline, and we have web, mobile and cloud technologies within web development. And then within the software development, there's object-oriented Java. And then in communications and networking, we have the Cisco networking, that's CCNA accredited Part 1 and Part 2. So in addition to that undergraduate level, then we also have several postgraduate options within computing and IT, and that there's certificate, diploma and master's level. So students can begin at an undergraduate and work their way on through. And I'll pop a prospectus in the chat for everyone if anyone's interested in more details, and you can follow that link on the screen there. It's open.ic.uk/courses/computing-IT, which will give you a full overview of all the modules you can take. And as I say, the difference and the beauty with the Open University studying is that students can study it part-time along with a job, or can do more intense study at a time that suits them. So there's really a range of options. So I shall hand over now to Anthony Johnson for some more details on cybersecurity, and I'll pop the prospectus in the link. Thank you in the chat. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks so much, Jill. And thank you, Jim and David, for having us today. My name is Anthony Johnston. I'm a staff tutor with the Open University with a special interest in cybersecurity. Just for a change of tone, we're going to play a short video narrated by Cory Doctorow, who is a Canadian-British blogger. He's a journalist and a science fiction writer. He wrote, you may have heard of it, the best-selling novel Little Brother, which won a couple of awards. He writes about digital rights, surveillance and copyright laws, and in this video he's going to introduce another Open Learn course that we have on cybersecurity. So hopefully Jim's going to play it now.
Cybersecurity isn't just the preserve of large companies. As more and more of us conduct our lives online using everything from social networks to payment platforms, understanding how to protect your online identity has never been more important. This course will provide you with the knowledge and skills to enable you to secure your digital information from accidental loss and malicious attack.
What I'm actually in is the business of information warfare. We will find a way in, and sometimes it can take just a matter of minutes.
We start by looking at the types of threats that exist and ways to prevent these from affecting your digital information.
Are you about to click on a link you're not sure about? Well, I hope you've taken care, because if not, I could quite easily drop a Trojan horse, or a drive-by download, or some other sinister malware into your laptop, and turn your computer into a zombie.
The course then delves deeper into the underlying technologies and techniques that are used to solve cybersecurity challenges. So, what are the threats that affect digital information? How can we improve the security of our information? And how can we stay ahead of these attackers?
That's great, thank you. Cybersecurity it's a real growth industry, as some other speakers were saying. There are more than 800 cybersecurity companies in the United Kingdom, and the cybersecurity sector in the UK is now worth more than £10 billion, which when I was looking, I say it's an increase of about 14% from last year. So it's growing year on year. For those wanting to enter the field, the Open University provides this Bachelor of Science with honours degree in cybersecurity, and it's equivalent to a full 3-year full-time degree. Each student will study 120 units or credits in each year. In the first year, it's a broad introduction, various aspects of computing and information technologies, which is the same as for other named degrees, as Jill was explaining. You can see in the slide, year 1, we've got 2 introductory units covering analytical thinking, introduction to programming, including some Python coding, digital technologies and networking. There's also the key skills of communication, numeracy, and digital information literacy. The unit also covers basic computer architecture, cloud and mobile computing. And there's also, importantly, a look at legal, social, ethical and security challenges posed by IT. TM129 covers 3 areas: networking, again strongly linked to Cisco; operating systems with a look at the Linux operating system, which is widely used in cybersecurity, and also at robotics. And then there's a choice of 2 mathematics units depending on the level of the students. One is about for more of a gentle introduction, and the other is a higher level study of topics such as matrices, sequences, complex numbers and calculus. Year 2 then builds on what's happened in Year 1 with a more in-depth study of web technologies, Cisco networking, communications and IT, and then the new cybersecurity unit, which specifically looks at various aspects of the field, including cryptography, digital forensics, threats and vulnerabilities, infrastructure, security, and protection against hostile agents, which is what the video is about. But also then the human factors thread running through. Year 3 then has an important final year project at which students are take a lot of the initiative themselves, obviously with help from the tutor. And they'll do that after studying systems penetration testing, containing some ethical hacking, information security module, and a choice of 2 optional units. And they choose from more Cisco networking, more communications technology, IT systems and web, or mobile and cloud technologies. The Open University has got, as Jill was saying, it's full-time and part-time students. Traditionally, it suits students who are already working, as they can continue with their work, perhaps coming back to education after a break. But increasingly, we've had a lot of A-level and HND leavers and younger students coming in. So it's a wide variety of students, and definitely worth having a look at those open learn materials, and then looking at either a diploma, a certificate, or a full degree, as well as possibly a postgraduate. So I think that just remains for me to say thank you very much, David, again for having us, and for the Bring It On team for having us today. There's some contact details there on that, and Jill has posted in the prospectus into the chat. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much to Anthony, Jill and Jim, and great to hear some of those free options to sort of, I suppose, if anyone is interested in a particular area of IT, you can maybe dip your toe in and I suppose see if it's something for you that you want to then progress on to something at a higher level. So that's really good to hear some of those open learn options, and something I'll be definitely looking into. So thank you very much. And now, as they always say, you save the best to last. So without further ado, we've got Maureen from Ulster University up in the Northwest, who is going to take us through a range of different degree level programs that the university has to offer. So thank you, Maureen.
Thank you, David, for the introductions, and thank you obviously for the invitation to come along here today. So as David has said, my name is Maureen Neisel. I'm a senior lecturer at Ulster University. I suppose one of my key hats that I wear is that I look after the suite of undergraduate computing courses that we have based on the McGee campus of Ulster, which the courses which I'll predominantly talk about here today. So on the right hand side there of the screen, well, I suppose the backdrop to the presentation is our gorgeous campus and the main McGee building that exists, which is a prominent building there. It has a major presence on the campus. On the right hand side, I suppose, is the list of information that I want to deliver as part of this presentation. So rather than any further ado, I'll move on. So about computing at Ulster, so whilst I'm here to represent one region of Ulster University, the school itself that I belong to is the School of Computing, Engineering and Intelligent Systems that is based solely on the McGee campus. We are not the only computing school that resides within Ulster. There is also the School of Computing that is moving to the new campus that is being built in Belfast city centre. So both of our computing schools reside within the Faculty of Computing Engineering and the Built Environment. So whilst I'm here to represent one regional variation of computing, please obviously be aware that there is another computing school that covers the Belfast region, offering similar type courses. But we do have our local specialisms in terms of the expertise of the staff that work within our regional schools, and therefore the subjects that are offered on each of the campuses. So which courses then do I look after? Well, we're the School of Computing, Engineering and Intelligent Systems. So really that title is, you know, exactly what it says on the tin. I look after the suite of computing courses. I have a colleague and a counterpart who then looks after the suite of engineering courses. So between us, we have around 700 students, undergraduate students, not bringing in our postgraduate offering. So the courses that I predominantly take care of are the BA Eng Honours in Artificial Intelligence. Then we have our BSc Honours Computer Science, our variation on the theme, which is the Software Systems Development stream. We have our BSc Honours Information Technologies, and then we have a new course offering for students who have a direction of travel where they wish to go into the teaching sector of computing with education, and that course will have its first intake now this year in September 2022. So one of the key questions that I would often get asked at presentations and by students and careers advisors, what's the difference between the courses then? So I suppose if I start with computer science, that's really our core computer science offering that we have. So I'll talk a little bit more about what our students learn in detail on the courses. But what we do offer is some interchangeability there between the courses for our students at the very beginning. So if a student does find that they, you know, embark upon computer science, by and large, it's whenever they meet the mathematics that is involved in computer science that on some occasions the students will then say, well, can I change courses? And I'm then able to change those students onto our information technologies course. So the main difference, or the way that I would explain the difference to any applicants, would be if you see your trajectory of travel being, you know, I want to get into programming, I want to get into software development, I have an aptitude for programming, I've tried it out, I'm teaching myself in my spare time, then computer science is the course for you, because that's really the course whereby you'll develop those strong problem solving skills. You'll get exposure to fundamentals of programming, progressing on to further in-depth knowledge of object-oriented programming languages and frameworks associated with that. So that would be the best option for you. If you see your career pathway progressing into the area of technologies, but you want to have more of exposure to web development, then information technologies is the course for that particular type of student. So our information technologies course would give our students exposure to a range of different web development technologies, from PHP through to the use of frameworks to support web development and the creation of web services, which, you know, we're all fond of doing our shopping on Amazon or getting our groceries delivered to the door from Tesco's or Sainsbury's or whoever that may be. That, you know, those platforms that we use in order to do that online shopping, that's all based on web technologies. We have then also our artificial intelligence course. So this course now is in its third year. We will have our first group of graduates graduating from that course in July 2023. So whilst artificial intelligence is nothing new, it really is coming to the fore now with the, you know, we've heard other presenters here today talking about data and data science and making sense of all of that data. Well, artificial intelligence is really coming to the fore now because of the way that we live as individuals and the amount of data that we are generating on a daily basis. And how do we make sense of all of that data? How do organizations make sense of all of that? And therefore, in artificial intelligence, what our students are taught are, you know, what are the algorithms that are needed in order to make that sense. Therefore, you know, they're taught a variety of themes in terms of advanced mathematics associated with AI, through to particular algorithms and how to write those algorithms, how to code those algorithms that are needed in order to teach a computer how to think and to make decisions and to learn in the way that we as humans would learn and make those decisions. And then finally, as I mentioned there a minute ago, we have our new course, our Computing with Education. So that course is taught in collaboration with colleagues from the School of Education, whereby the course is a 2/3, 1/3. So the 1/3 being in the education pathway and the 2/3 being in the computing pathway. So students who see themselves or have a goal of going into teaching, then they will have that exposure to different pedagogical techniques within the education pathway, as well as learning key computing modules that are important that they learn in order to be that competent technology stroke IT stroke digital technology teacher within the second level education. So the suite of engineering courses that we have then obviously are listed there. So I'm not going to dwell any further on them, just to be aware that we are a collaborative school. There is a lot of cross collaboration between the computing and the engineering subject areas. There are a few modules whereby all of the students are taught together, and therefore in those modules the students get exposure to a variety of different skills and meet up with students from the other discipline, so that they're not being taught in a particular silo. So in terms of pathways to computing, then obviously there are a number of different pathways. Colleagues from further education sectors have already mentioned about the different courses that are on offer there. So therefore, we do have that collaboration there with our further education colleges in terms of having what's called a 2+2 model, whereby students can study a 2-year foundation degree in the colleges and then progress on to a relevant degree programme with us, whereby they will then do 2 studies at Ulster University with us. We also have your traditional direct entry route through UCAS, through students who have completed A-levels or the equivalent to A-levels to access courses, etc., who can progress through that normal route. Once they've studied their A-levels or their equivalents, then obviously there's that entry pathway to year 1 of our courses. For students who, for whatever reason, for one reason or another, our faculty has an integrated foundation year, which is taught in collaboration with our colleagues from the School of Computing in the Belfast campus. And that offers students that 1 year intensive foundation year in the subject, whereby the students are taught core problem solving skills. They are given exposure to a variety of different foundational modules that will be key for them to progress then onto first year of their chosen course. So they do then progress into year 1 of our courses. All of our courses are 4 years, which is traditionally 2 years of full-time teaching, a 3rd year of compulsory placement, and then students return from their placement year to progress on to their final year of their course. So for us, across all of our courses, across all of our schools, both the school that I belong to and the School of Computing in Belfast, it's key for us that our students are prepared for going on placement. So for us, preparation for placement begins on day 1 of year 1. And the student employability is front and centre in terms of all of our courses across the board, because the placement year is so valuable and so important for the students in order to help them to secure that graduate employment. It's imperative then that we start the students thinking about their placement and what they have to do to get themselves prepared for going on placement whenever they start on our courses. Just as an addition, whilst we have our suite of undergraduate courses, we do have postgraduate courses, and we do have a master's in data science at a postgraduate level, and then we have our professional software development, which is a conversion master's for students from another discipline, whether that be history or politics or whatever that traditional that other first degree discipline may be. Then they can enroll on a conversion course and gain employment then in the IT sector. So the entry requirements for our courses, by and large, for the computing courses at Magee, the entry is 3 Bs. We do have that desirable subject offer, whereby the students or the applicants are given a 2-grade reduction should the students study that desirable subjects: maths, physics, chemistry, etc. Okay. For our courses, for our BSc courses, we don't have a specific subject requirement. However, for our artificial intelligence, we do have a subject requirement, whereby we do have that A-level subject requirement for students who we do seek students to have studied mathematics, further maths, etc., in order to progress on to that course. The students who take our register on our artificial intelligence course, they are on a different mathematics theme within the course that is important for the whole subject area of AI. So we do have that 3rd level qualification in that science or mathematics subject. For students obviously coming from an access diploma, from a foundation degree, then there are different offerings, and there are also equivalences at level 3. So we do have students who come from BTEC pathways, from OCR pathways, etc. And the offer that those students will receive from us is equivalent in terms of that 3rd level qualification. So whatever that equivalence may be to 3 Bs. There is the requirement, obviously the general university requirements are for all students to have maths and English to grade C or above. For our faculty, we have a requirement of having GCSE, grade C, grade B or above, or a NICATS mathematics. We do not accept the application of number of essential skills as an alternative to the GCSE or the NICATS mathematics. So that's important for students who are coming from second level education or coming from the further education sector within our faculty to be aware that there is that requirement there at a general entry requirement level. So what do our computing students learn? Well, there are core subjects across all of our disciplines. So our students across all of our courses will gain exposure to programming, software development practices, database systems, hardware, operating systems, networks and cybersecurity, and UX standing for user experience. Then the students on the different courses will have course-specific modules. So as I mentioned there a minute ago, for students who are on the computer science course, they do more programming modules than the students that are on our information technologies course. The information technologies course do our core software development modules in year 1, in semester 1 and semester 2, and then they progress on to further web development technology courses, because that's the theme that is core across that course. AI students will have core programming modules. They are on a different mathematics theme through the course, as well as having their bespoke artificial intelligence modules that they will study, that brings in all of those algorithms and machine learning and deep learning, etc. That is key to that subject area. So the course structure, all of our courses are 4 years, with the fundamentals being taught in year 1. Those fundamentals then are further developed and taught in depth throughout year 2. In 3rd year then, our students, as I've mentioned, are encouraged to go on to placement, or they have an option there of going on a study abroad programme. So we would have students who take both pathways, and students who go across the globe in order to study at a different institution. And then our students come back then into final year to apply all of that knowledge and to, I suppose, the final year being the pinnacle of what they are here to study. And they have then optional modules whereby they can choose which particular modules they prefer to focus in on. And by and large, whenever students come back from industry, they have developed that interest in a particular area, whether it be further in-depth study on mobile technologies or in further in-depth in cybersecurity, etc. There's a variety of different pathways that our students are given options to study. As I've already mentioned, their placement is key for our students to secure graduate roles, and getting them to think about their whole employability begins on day 1 of year 1. In terms of all of the employers that we work with, I've put here logos of some of the key employers that you may be familiar with. In all honesty, to have a logo of all of the companies that we work with, I would need, a rather big slide. Because we work with so many companies, whether large and small, whereby our students secure placement and then they go then to their graduate role. So as you can see there, our headline statistic is that 94% of our graduates are employed in graduate level employment. That's 6 months after completing their degree. So the students are surveyed. I would generally survey them myself whenever they are finishing their courses with us, to find out who has actually secured graduate employment and where they're going. And key to that is that whole placement opportunity, because we know if our students secure placement, then they will secure a graduate job. It's really seen, that placement role is really seen as being that year-long interview for our students. And so many of our final year students come back with graduate employment offers in their back pocket, so that they can then hit the ground running in final year, because they know where they're going, they know what they need to achieve. in order to get there. So, you know, we've had Kathleen there was on talking from Liberty IT, heavily involved with our students from year 1 through the Liberty IT Scholarship Programme, progressing right the way through then to placement and graduate roles. Walt Disney Company, we've had students who have gone to the European headquarters of Walt Disney Company in Hammersmith in London. And I was in the fortunate position there just before a pandemic and lockdown happened to be able to go over there and visit. And that is just an experience, you know, it's just a complete culture of Walt Disney from the minute you step it through the door right the way through. So that student was working on the analytics of the Disney Channel. So a fabulous work experience opportunity there. Andor Technology is a local company there based in Antrim who make camera technology and vision systems for NASA. So those images that we see beamed back from NASA on news reports, etc., then those cameras are being made and our students are there working on that technology just up the road from where I'm sitting here at the minute. So a lot of the key employers there, where our students go, and some of them there being key to, you know, key engineering employers, but who also take our computing students. Caterpillar, we've seen the major industrial equipment that is involved in major construction industry, made in Northern Ireland, in Larne. So they would take both our engineering and our computing students. Malachan Engineering is based in Mid-Ulster and they would take both disciplines as well. The major technology that's made, or the major piece of kit that's made by Malachan, is used in airports in terms of your conveyor belts for your luggage and also for the steps that we would walk onto to get up into the plane. They're made in Mid-Ulster. So there's a lot there that our students are being involved in, key problems that are being solved that they're doing whilst they're on placement, and then obviously progressing on to their graduate roles. So as an opportunity that is unique for us there, I mentioned about our students having opportunities to go and study worldwide. We would have students who would go to study in America through the Study USA programme. A programme that is unique to us, to our students on the Mickey campus, is the Study Japan, and the collaborative relationship that we have developed with the Prefectural University of Hiroshima. It's 5 years now that the programme has been ongoing. So to date, we've had a total of 25 students who have gone out to Japan to study. And at the minute, I'm preparing a further 5 to go out there in September to study for a year. They will study in the whole area of computing and engineering. And the pictures that you see here on your screen, I was very fortunate in 2019 to be able to go out and visit the students there, the 4 smiling faces that you see. They were there for the year studying in Hiroshima. So a complete cultural experience and something that is really unique to those students and to our students that are based within our courses here in the Mickey campus. So that really is for the students. They're cutting the apron strings there to go to Japan. You know, there's no travelling home on a bus at the weekend there. It's taken them, you know, 20 hours to get there on several different flights. And they really are embraced by the Japanese, and they embrace the Japanese culture and that whole experience that they gain. So what do our students say? And what do they say about us? Well, all of our final year students and all final year students across all higher education institutions in the UK are asked to complete a survey that is known as the National Student Survey, or the NSS. And that's one of those key measurements, one of those key metrics that universities and senior leadership teams in the universities will look at to see, you know, well, what are our actual students saying, warts and all, about the courses. As a school, we are very proud of our NSS statistics. As a school, we have an overall satisfaction rate of 92%. So what that means is that the students are they're asked a specific question to rate their course based on a level of satisfaction. So you can see there some key courses there for computer science. It's 90%, information technologies has been 100% satisfaction, and mechanical and manufacturing engineering is also rated 100%. So those are statistics that we are extremely proud of. And we are obviously never complacent in terms of those statistics. And you know, from the 30 questions that the students are asked, we do delve into the detail of the responses that the students give, and are never complacent, or always acting on what our student voice is saying as a result of these surveys. But those statistics we are extremely proud of. We do have, obviously I've mentioned there about placement and all of the companies that we work with, but there are other ways that employers are involved with us. You can see there in the bottom left hand corner, that's our new All-State Lab. Well, I say new, this year was the first year that it had any extensive use, because it just opened before we went into lockdown, and that was a lab that was sponsored by the company All-State in order to do a complete refurbish, new kit, new everything actually in the lab, and therefore it's a fantastic resource for our students. We've also had massive investment on our campus. In the top left hand corner, the image there is of our brand new teaching block, which gives state-of-the-art resources, learning and teaching resources for our students. In terms of our engagement with industry, you know, we have a range of different ways that our students get involved with our employers. I've mentioned scholarships, the Liberty IT Scholar. We also have the Civica Scholarship. We have the Learning Pool Scholarship, which provides students with, you know, valuable learning and support as they go through their course, but it also gives them that financial incentive to ensure that, you know, they have that additional monies coming to them every year, which may be the difference between them having to take on that part-time job or devoting 100% of their time to their studies. Other speakers on the call have mentioned guest lectures and tech talks. Again, something that we are heavily involved with, getting industrial partners in to give those bespoke talks on technology that they're using to get involved in a particular topic that is being taught in our modules. We also have a number of industrial sponsored prizes that we celebrate on an annual basis, whereby employers will sponsor, you know, the top student in final year of one of the courses, give that reward, and we have that celebration, that that event on the campus whereby the student and the lucky winner and the employer comes in to an event so that they can meet up, and we have that celebration. Employers are also involved in our employer advisory board, where we have a number of employers who have a representative on that board, who are our key advisors and are heavily involved in any revisions that we are doing to courses, any advice that is needed. They are regularly consulted in terms of any changes or proposed changes that we intend to make to our courses. Our courses are all accredited by our industry professional body, with the British Computer Society, and obviously our engineering courses have the equivalent professional body, which obviously illustrates the esteem with which the professional body holds the courses that we teach our students. So I've come to the end. I'm happy to take any questions. We do have an active social media presence for our school, and you can follow our Linktree, which has access to all of our social media platforms. So I'm happy now to take any questions or any queries that anybody may have. Thank you, David.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Marion, and good to see the use of a Linktree. I love a good Linktree, and I was going to say, if Bring IT On is ever looking to internationalize, I'll put my hand up for a potential trip to Japan to help out. Probably like gold dust.
Absolutely. Oh, amazing. Amazing. Go there.
Yeah.
Put it on your bucket list.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and I suppose apologies everyone for overrunning, but we actually probably did well to pack in so much, and it's really great to see the whole plethora of courses available, from like looking at like post GCSE and A levels from level 2 right up to degree and master's level as well. So hopefully we've been able to show everyone the sort of very sort of industry-led pathway that links into key skills and qualifications that employers locally are really crying out for, and there's big demand at the minute and into the future. So thank you very much to all of our speakers. I just wanted to quickly sort of share information on an event we're running next week under the Bring It On programme. So we've got a in-person event that's very much focused on, I suppose, getting into tech. So it's really focusing on those who aren't currently in education or employment and their advisors to come along to an in-person event in the Clayton Hotel in Belfast. So we're going to have a range of different speakers and companies involved to, I suppose, do some networking, ask some questions, and hear from some speakers in the industry who a bit like Kathleen and Colin, who we had on the call today, discussing their pathway. And it's a really great way to meet some people in person in the industry and talk about some of those entry-level pathways, internships, placement opportunities. So if you are interested, please do get in touch to register your interest. So that is through the Bring It On email address, which is bringiton@belfastmet.ac.uk. And then also just to highlight in the chat earlier, Eamon highlighted that Cyber First programme, and I think there's currently 27 free places available on that free residential that's happening in August for 16 to 17-year-olds. So again, if you are responsible for or know of a young person who might be interested in cybersecurity, this is a great free way of dipping your toe in and find out more and seeing if it is something that they'd be interested in pursuing. So apart from that, I will share out a recording of this session to all the attendees and those who maybe weren't able to make it. And then also, where possible, we'll share some of those slides as well. That just leaves me to say thank you very much for all our speakers today. It was really great to hear what's going on with some of the current programs, but also some of the future looking programs as well. And we do share a lot of information on behalf of the college and university network. So please do feel free to follow us on our different social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where we have a lot of information available as well.